Welcome. If you're watching this video, it means you're preparing for the difficult SBL exam. In this video, I'd like to take you through a topic that many students find challenging. But don't just take my word for it. When this topic last came up in the exam, the examining team said that it was the worst done part of the exam, that most students got a fail on the requirement, and many students even left that requirement blank. Let's dive into change management and look at managing process change. I'll take you through the Harmon Process Strategy Matrix, and I'll show you how to use this tool to develop your ideas, to structure your answer, and to help you get closer to a pass on your SBL exam.
Let's imagine you're in the exam. Over the past several weeks, you've carefully reviewed the pre-scene. You understand this company's industry, their activities, their company structure, their main products or services. Now, in the exam, you get an exhibit that describes a business process. It could be an existing or a proposed process. It could also potentially have problems. Next, in one of the requirements, you are asked to recommend an approach to managing the proposed process change. One approach would be to make a list of general, common sense improvements to the process in question. However, this is not what the question is asking. The key words are recommend an approach to managing the process change. You weren't asked to redesign the process. So if you use that approach, you're unlikely to get passing marks. If we're going to make a recommendation on how to manage a process change, a great tool to help us organize our thoughts, structure our answer, and then generate ideas is the Harmon Process Strategy Matrix. Here's the model. As you can see, it's a classic two-dimensional consultant's matrix. On one dimension, we have strategic importance of the process. On the other dimension, we have process complexity. Now, before we go further, I want to remind you of an important aspect of the SBL exam. You will not get marks for academic knowledge dumps of model. You'll only get passing credit when you present well-crafted ideas that help the business leadership solve their problems. So we're going to use this model just as a management consultant on an engagement would. Back to the model. We have two dimensions. The first step is to understand the strategic importance of the proposed or existing process in question. And we can only do this with information from the pre-scene and the exhibits. Now, a process is of high strategic importance if it supports the competitive advantage of the company. For example, Apple. You know Apple, the company that makes the iPhone and the iPad. Well, research, development, and industrial design are strategically important processes for this company. It's these processes that make them different from their competition, and it's these processes that are difficult for competitors to replicate. So they are a source of competitive advantage. They add value to the creation of Apple's products. Let's consider another process at Apple. Well, it's a large company. They've got many employees, so they need to deal with their travel and expense claims. This process would be considered a support or an administrative process. It doesn't add to their competitive advantage. It doesn't help make Apple's products unique. So we could say that this process, the reimbursement of travel and expense claims, well, that's not of strategic importance, so low strategic importance. After we've evaluated the strategic importance of the process, we then move to the complexity of the process. And let's go back to those two examples. Well, we looked at R&D at Apple. Well, think about Apple's products, consumer electronics. They have relatively short life cycles, so they are constantly being upgraded with new features, or new products are being rolled out. It's also a highly competitive industry, so the company is constantly trying to innovate and stay ahead of the competition. So we could argue that this process is complex, consumer electronics, and it's dynamic, a changing industry, short product life cycles. So the R&D would be a rather complex process. If we look at the expense reimbursement process, well, that's rather straightforward. Employees know how to do that. It doesn't change very often. Yes, there might be different currencies, different divisions, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a simpler, more static process. This is the first part of recommending how to manage a process change in SBL. Evaluate the strategic importance and the complexity of the process in question. Now, it's essential that you express judgment here and arrive at a conclusion for both importance and complexity, and back up what you say with evidence that you found in the pre-scene and the exhibits. After we've established how the process sits within the two dimensions, next we can recommend how to manage the change in the process. If we are here in the upper left, we have a complex process that has low strategic importance. So imagine this would be the complex group accounting function for a multinational company. Many currencies, many tax regimes. Consolidation is tricky. So this might be something that we outsource to experts. Let's give this difficult process to another company so we can focus what we're good at. If we're down here now in the lower left, here we have low complexity, low strategic importance. Imagine this is office security. Now, again, this would be quite easy to outsource the security function. Again, we don't want to complicate our business with this administrative process, and we'd like to, again, give this to experts. But if we're talking about an electronic process, for example, what we spoke about earlier, processing the expense claims, here we could use an ERP solution, an off-the-shelf ERP module to manage this process. Like, for example, SAP has this exact module, which will save us time and make the process easier. If we move to the right side of the matrix, now we're looking at processes that are of high strategic importance, and we need to distinguish between their complexity. If we look at the lower right, where we have processes that are rather simple, here we will use automation to improve efficiency. Consider the process of warehouse picking. This is the manual task of wandering out into a warehouse and finding the right product, gathering that and bringing it to a collection point so we could ship it to our customers. This is what Amazon does, but this is of strategic importance because an online retailer like Amazon wants their orders to go out of the warehouse quickly and accurately. So what Amazon did was, and what they're doing, is automating this process. They're moving from human pickers to automated robotic inventory control. That's automation. Lastly, if we have a complex task that is mission critical to the company, it gives us our competitive advantage. This is going to be too risky to give to a third party. We don't want the IP to go out of our company, and it's complex. We want to keep this in-house, and this would be that R&D function that we spoke about a moment ago.
I hope this video demystified the Harmon Process Strategy Matrix. As a next step, you can now go into the Study Hub and test your understanding on this topic. Find Activity 1 under Managing Process Change in the Change Management chapter. You can also get there quickly by finding the search window and typing Bellavia right into the field. It will take you right to the activity. Good luck on your upcoming SBL exam.